You guys ready down here?
I think so.
Down here, ready? You guys ready? Yep. We'll let her have a seat and then we'll go. Okay, please stand for a prayer and flag salute. Please bless this mayor and council as they deliberate on behalf of Pompton Lakes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, mailed to all who have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Brett.
Here.
Councilman Day.
Here.
Councilman Baranco.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragno and our Borough Administrator Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. All right, first order of business, we're going to have a new council appointment. So I have a resolution. Would you like to read the resolution list?
Just the title, or
Yeah, just the title's fine.
because there's no...
Yeah,
Well, can we do discussion first? Or?
you can ask somebody to put a name for a vote.
All right, could I have a nomination of a name for council?
I would like to nominate Ek Benin for council to fill Lloyd Kent's unexpired term.
Eric Devine, can I have a second?
Second.
Any other names? Seeing none? Okay. Then we can read the resolution with that name.
Who seconded that, I'm sorry?
Terry.
Appointing Ek Benin to replace Councilman Lloyd Kent for the remainder of his term pursuant to NJSA 40A-16-11.
It's Resolution 1769.
Motion to approve Resolution 17-69. So moved. Councilman Baranco? Second by Councilman Vague, was that you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any discussion? Anybody have any discussion? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Giaconetti.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ranker.
Yes.
Councilman Day.
Yes.
Councilman Baranco.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Okay, not wasting any time.
Congratulations.
We're going to swear him in right now. If you would step forward, please. Bring up your family, or whoever else would look like. I state your name. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of council member according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. You're in for it.
Right now, before we change our...
I know, you can't even sit down.
That's right. I hope he has an extensive report.
Yeah, not a the second floor.
And I don't want a longer report from you today. Okay, congratulations. Moving forward. Presentation of open space. Mr. Boyle.
This evening, we have a presentation of our open space application for the Morris County Open Space Committee. This year, we're looking to apply for some matching funds to provide engineering services to develop a river crossing once again from Pompton Lakes into Pequannock. As you may or may not know, Pequannock for many years has been working on developing a bike path on the railroad right away near Susquehanna Railroad, adjacent to the river, basically, in more cases than not. We are also doing our bike trails and a Morris Canal Greenway. And the county planning departments in Morris County, Passaic County, along with Pompton Lakes and Pequannock, have talked about this possibility, and we're looking at getting some matching funds to provide the engineering study. So tonight, this is the open hearing. This was basically the presentation of the application. It's rather cut and dry. We're putting up $25,000 and hopefully get $50,000 match for a total of $75,000. The county of Morris will put up funds, the county in Pequannock will put up funds. So hopefully I'll be able to do the engineering, and then going forward we'll determine who will do the design and development. Hopefully the counties will forward on the cost of the actual construction of the bridge down the road, but that is down the road. This starts the process of funding the engineering study without using the taxpayer dollars, which is the concept. All the residents within 200 feet of that property were notified. I don't know if there's anybody here tonight have any comments. Would anybody have any comments? Eric, since you were intimately involved, you want to maybe add a couple things?
Yeah, I had a couple of things just based on some recent discussions. First, I think it was about 2 weeks ago that we had both counties met, Pequannock and Pompton Lakes met. Sort of consistent to what we've talked about specifically is that, we're willing, this isn't our project necessarily, we're willing to chip in and kind of do what we need to, potentially from a financial standpoint. But it was clear, we made clear that, we're not going to do the engineering, Pompton Lakes is not going to be responsible for the engineering, and we're ultimately not going to own the bridge. There was an email today from Jason Simmons from Passaic County. He is their environmental planner. He met with an engineering firm in terms of trying to firm up actual costs for the engineering study. With the design and permitting associated with it, that study is looking at a total cost of $50,000. I'm still recommending that we move forward with the $25,000 inclusion, asking for the $50,000 match, because potentially whatever, if the engineering study comes out good and we can do everything we need to in terms of permitting and everything like that, that money could potentially be used towards the construction of the bridge, which they had estimated potentially at $275,000. So the actual cost and scope of this project has actually shrunk since we started discussions and not expanded. But again, the $25,000 that we're approaching with this is our $25,000 at the max. Really, that's what we're looking at this point.
Okay, so I just had a couple questions we can ask. The $25,000 is Pequannock, then would not need to put any money in.
Pequannock would still, everybody's chipping in money. What we're doing now is doing more of a pot for everything.
Okay.
So it's not like, Pompton Lakes is doing $25,000, and then now the engineering study is $50,000, so Pequannock, gets to wash their hands of it. Everybody's putting what we agreed to, whatever we've got towards the construction is what we've got potentially towards construction, and if we have to go about getting more money to pay for construction, then we look at other grants, other things like that. But again, I just want to stress that the $25,000 is coming from Pompton Lakes. It's getting, everybody's putting their skin in the game in terms of this goes, and, that's what we're going to be obligated for.
Now, has Pequannock answered yet if they're putting in the 25?
Yeah.
They have,
They
yes.
have, okay, so they're in. So
Morris County and Pequannock are both putting in.
Okay.
The state county doesn't have a vehicle to do that, which is why we're leveraging our 25 to get $50,000 for match.
Correct.
So either way, we're putting 25 in, but we can get 50 with our leverage.
And
That 50 is basically
And Morris does a matching program also, I'm sure?
No, Morris is going to put it through, the open space funding allows them to provide money for this. They're going to, so everybody's putting 25 grand, we use our 25,
And we try to
leverage
use
for
it.
some more money.
And it looks like potentially what's going to happen is because they're doing the bike path on the other side along the old New York Susquehanna Railroad, that's going to become Morris County Park Commission land. So it looks like what we were discussing is that Morris County Park Commission would actually take ownership of that bridge. So it would be, owned and maintained and everything like that by them.
Any questions? Any other questions? Okay.
Any questions from the public?
Is there a discussion period from the public?
Yeah, we need public discussion.
Okay, anybody have a question? You please step up to the mic and, name, please.
Julie Donkos, 914 Riverdale Boulevard. Originally, we were told it was going to be $125,000 for the engineer study. So $50,000 was coming from Passaic County and $25,000 from Pompton Lakes, $25,000 from Morris County, $25,000 from Pequannock. So how is the breakdown now? Just $25,000 from...
It's still the same breakdown between the municipalities and the counties that we agreed upon. How that money gets utilized may turn out to be a little bit different, because what we're looking at, again, is a $50,000 design and permitting process, which is obviously a lot less. So that potentially leaves $75,000 left over. That $75,000 could be turned into towards the construction if everything works out. If it doesn't work out, then everybody gets made a little bit wholer by, basically putting, the money back to the municipalities. But that's what we're looking at now, is a $50,000 engineering cost.
All right. Well, I kind of think this discussion is a little premature because nothing's been in the newspaper. It hasn't come before the flood board. I also feel that our town is going to have a home reevaluation this year, and I think people are in for higher costs with their taxes. I do know that in the past, they wanted to try and put the pathway, stay on the railroad tracks and go through Riverdale. My suggestion is that you go back to Riverdale, that has a new mayor, and possibly revisit that suggestion of staying on the railroad tracks and not coming over a floodway. The Pequannock River is a floodway down there. Right where it'll cross is off of 23 North and River Drive. And unfortunately, I received a letter, 2 letters costing $7 came to me, so I guess 200 other people got that letter, or letters. And unfortunately, the letter was so incomplete, no one knew what you were talking about. I happen to know because I'm on the Open Space Committee. So
Can I stop you right there? The letter was from who? Who was the letter from?
It was sent out by the
From us.
town.
It was from us, but was it written by who?
It basically said you're invited to attend, provide comments, suggestions regarding the application, professional consultant services, so forth and so on.
Mentioned no money, mentioned, it was, I think it did say bike path, or bike bridge, or bridge, but there was just no information. The points of touchdown for this bridge, I would think, where we were told, is an old bridge abutment that is at least 200 feet in the woods on a walking path. So I'm concerned about the price of this whole project, and I'm concerned about security. I would think Pequannock would be more concerned about security, but I am concerned that the police cannot get to this area. And on that side, there's only 4 to 5 houses that are being lived in. They are not close to the kiosks right now. They are way down the lane. And I think this bridge is going to be a hangout for kids and a possible hangout. Right now, the kiosk is damaged over there. It's broken. There was, just for a little history, there was a type of bridge crossing Pequannock River at the end of Riverdale Boulevard, and it was like, I believe, a pipe and kind of a workman's bridge. And it was a kids' hangout for the kids. And there was a fatality, and the bridge got taken down. That connected Pequannock and Pompton Lakes. I think in a floodway, we're removing houses, and now you want to put up a bridge, and I don't understand the logic. I think if the project could go through Riverdale, I suggest it go that way, and then possibly turn and come in, go down Riverdale Road and come in to our town. Let me just check. It's a floodway down there. There's 8 feet of water. The amount of debris that comes down that river when it floods is unbelievable. My husband and I, after the last flood, took a walk, and we walked this area in the woods, weekly, monthly, and we couldn't recognize where we were. The amount of debris that came down, dead trees all piled up in certain sections, it was like we were walking on a beach. The silt was unbelievable. And I believe this project wants to put a bike path around Willow Field, which there may be a paper road there, but enough trees have been taken down for the field. The field is there. We have walking paths. I believe our open space money might be used for a repair after a flood, and I wonder about that cost. And I think there's a surface that has to be put down for bikes, but I don't understand why bikes have to come around the field. Houses have been taken down, and now new parking lots are being put up, and I think, well, there's less trees, and I think too many trees were taken down for the project, but it's done. And we saw a change in the water for our home and our area. So I do believe this should come to the flood board. And I think there's a lot of things that have to be considered with this. I'm not too sure.
All right, let me answer some of the things you brought up. To start with, simply, one of my concerns was who's going to own the bridge. I do not want to own the bridge, because just what you said, if a flood does come down and that bridge moves or something happens to it, I'm not going to be held responsible to fix the bridge. So I think we've worked out that we will not take ownership of the bridge moving forward. If the town, go ahead.
If it touches base, though, where we have...
It doesn't matter,
open space.
it wouldn't be our bridge, so it would be not our responsibility.
Okay.
Secondly, this is a preliminary study to see if this is a project that can happen. I've already said my piece on this too. If somebody pulls out of the project, whether it be a county or a town or something, I am not going to pick up any more costs for the project. We'll start with the $25,000. We'll see how that goes. Then we're looking at going off their open space funding from the counties, if I'm correct. Is that right, Eric? Yes. So it wouldn't be a cost to us.
Well, let's say a county resident.
Well, let's say a county resident, but as a town resident, it wouldn't be. The issue of hanging out on the bridge, you're right, there was a bridge there, the Cat Bridge, that we had some incident with years and years ago. But that's a security thing, just like any other place that's in the woods. We have hiking trails that somebody could say could be a security issue. How do people get back there? It would be the same situation there. You spoke about the bike path going around. It's not a per se bike path, it's a hiking path, could become a bike path, but it's more for residents have reached out and said they'd like a measured walking area that they can start and finish in the same place where their car is. That's a perfect area for it, because there's residents down there already for sporting events. I think the open space group, environmental group at the time, did the right thing in building those fields. Fields were needed for this town. They're still needed. I was a big proponent of that with the rest of the group. They did their best in trying to put more trees up, and I think they did a good job at doing that. I think the project came out in a nice balance with keeping what we had and also adding some open space and controlling the flooding. Special soil was put in, which to help with the flooding. We put in special trees to help with the absorption down there when we did this. So all those things are taken into consideration. I have no problem with it going to the flood board. If Eric, you see a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that, but I will say that on January 26th, when we did have the flood advisory board, I did discuss the project to the flood advisory board. So it wasn't like, it was during the report from the open space committee. You asked me to explain it to everyone, which I did. There wasn't any much discussion beyond that at that point. I get that you might want a more formal presentation. We can certainly do that as, potentially as the project moves forward. But, we are now on the timeline regarding this application. And again, I just want to reiterate that the 26th, I did discuss it the project because you had asked me to. So, I mean, the flood advisory board should be aware of it. And I know it's obviously not their top priority right now, but it's not like, you know, it was completely just like we came up with this out of left field and left the flood advisory board out of it.
I think there's some people that know about this, but I don't think the majority of Pompton Lakes residents understand this.
Well, that could be said about anything.
The amount of debris that will be caught by this
There is debris, no question, we all know that.
will be,
I think the flowing of the river, you know, we're not, depending on how they build this bridge, you know, my biggest concern from the beginning is how this bridge is gonna be built and how it will withstand a flood. We know it will flood down there again, that it's not a maybe, or this isn't something that we're hoping doesn't happen. What'll happen to that bridge once it does is my question and my concern. And I am not going to put money out from the town to clean up an area that the bridge caused an issue on, or if the bridge falls apart, I'm not responsible for that. You know, the rest of that, if it was brought to the open space and there wasn't a lot of, and flood, and the residents weren't there for that, I can't control who shows up to these meetings. So that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
well, I kind of think building something in a secluded area is just asking for trouble, and I just really question why it can't be brought back to Riverdale to continue its path down the railroad tracks.
So we'll keep that in mind.
Instead of a floodway. And I would appreciate maybe articles in the newspaper and...
We don't control articles in the newspaper. They have to
well,
write the story.
maybe a notice could have gone out.
We don't
Something
usually
like
do
that.
notices for projects that we do. And this is preliminary to begin with.
There was a notice in the newspaper for this hearing, a roll to 200-foot notice to get everybody, so people in the area were notified of the meeting. It was somewhat circumspect because there's not a lot of information, as Eric said. Until we actually do the engineering, I don't really have a lot of details to provide to you. That's kind of really the biggest problem.
Who signed the
And we
letter?
had to send a certified mail to us, and the requirements of the grant required, everything goes certified in regular mail. That's a great requirement.
Well, I do know that I believe people have been talked to in Pequannock, and there was an issue with their concerns about the project.
And if there is that, I would want to know that. And I would think they wouldn't put money into the project if there is. And, you know, I had brought that to my attention in the beginning. If other towns don't put their money in, I'm not putting my money in.
Kevin, who signed the letter?
Was unsigned.
It was general notice.
Is it the same notice that went to our residents that went to those in Pequannock?
I know, no, Quonset doesn't get the notice. This is our application to State County.
For the open space.
We notified 200 people, within 200 feet of that property in Pompton Lakes. We notified Quonset. It's our open space application. to State
Okay,
County.
okay, it's an unsigned letter. Who wrote this unsigned letter?
It's not a letter. It was the same notice that was put in the paper, was
Okay.
sent to the residents. The same absolute notice that was put into the paper. It was a public notice that was sent to the residents. Given the fact that I had no details to write a formal letter, I didn't know what to say. But it tells you exactly to come here, what time, what date, what the project was about. So if anybody had the letter, nobody can
I
come
don't know
and
if
ask
it
a
really
question.
told what the project was about, but,
Well, what I'm going to suggest is reach out to your groups, you know, flood and open space, and let's discuss it more there. But meanwhile, if the council votes to move this along, there's a timeline involved, so they're going to have to do it just at least for the first 25,000. Doesn't mean the project's happening. It's far from saying the project's going to happen. So there is still time to talk about which way it's going to go. You know, we're just asking for matching funds at this point, and we know how long that can take. So this is just a very preliminary step.
But what is the timeline?
For what?
Well, the application tonight, after you have this hearing, the application resolution is here, the application goes in. The deadline,
I'm asking what the
the
deadline.
deadline is next week. This is the latest possible date we have to have a public hearing. This is it. If we don't apply today, then we miss out on the application.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Anyone else? Christopher?
Yeah, Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Ave. Just on an engineering note, if this goes forward, some kind of post or something in the center of this bridge, just like on the 2 footbridges that we have, because we don't need all the kids from Pequannock coming with 4-wheelers across that bridge and riding around through all the nice trails that we just put in.
That's a good point.
So, just on an engineering note, if it progresses. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session
So moved.
on this resolution? Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. I have a presentation, I'm just going to read what the title is. I was asked by the county to do a proclamation on art education and a youth art month, which they're doing through the county, so we did do a proclamation here. I'm not going to read the whole proclamation. We don't have any students here in town doing it, but the county asked out if we would support it, so I am supporting it. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Council President Riker, second by Councilman Devine. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to discuss anything at this moment? Just give me your name and stay around 5 minutes, please.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just want to meet with you again, Mayor, on the sidewalk issue. You said as we go later into the year that you would meet with me and the building inspector.
Okay.
So we're pushing into the third month.
I would probably invite Councilman Devine if we can get him there because he's ordinance.
Boston, he's welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't, we're heading into the third month. I just don't want to get too far ahead of us.
Okay.
I guess I got proved correct. We had a little trouble with Channel 77.
We didn't have
It was
trouble.
a week and a half.
It was a week
Thanks
and a
to
half.
Kevin and Liz.
But we had sickness of the gentleman who runs the program, so.
These are the things that sometimes happen, so.
And I think you were reminded in an email that this is a service we try to provide. It's not something we have to provide.
That's absolutely correct.
So we do our best, but we're not going to flip backwards to make things happen if someone's sick.
That's true, that's true. But I mean, if we are going to provide the service, whether we have to or not, let's try to do the best job that we can.
And we do, I think we do.
Thank you very much. Also, on the recent trends, West Milford, your old alma mater, working with their Channel 77. They have a YouTube channel now. And I made a copy of the article. I would make copies for everybody, but I'm starting to run out of paper. So I'd like to give this to Councilman Devine,
And it
the
does kill-
Technology Department.
And it does kill
Committee
trees.
is-
You know, you shouldn't be making copies, killing trees.
Excuse me?
You shouldn't be making copies, killing trees if you're on
Well, that's why I
camera.
only made one.
Okay.
And if I can get this to Councilman Devine,
Yes, you
I
can.
appreciate
There
it.
you go.
So the Technology Department?
Yes, that's fine. That is fine.
Proud of you, Randy, good job.
Thank you.
Making one copy. Always looking out.
That is all, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience like to speak?
What's that, start with Cablevision or something?
Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public
Is that
comments?
with Cablevision?
So moved. Councilman Branco, can I have a second?
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor? Aye. Against? Approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the following minutes? Regular meeting minutes of February 8th, 2017. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Councilman Devine. Can I have a second? Second. Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? You would vote president at this point.
Present.
And you were present also? We have two presidents there.
I'm sorry.
Two. Councilman Riker.
Okay.
Okay, bills and claims. Motion to approve the following bill list as stated below. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Bay, can I have a second?
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Presents? Any present?
Present.
You were present there? Okay, we have a present there.
Present, because there's got to be an HCM building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, good catch.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, consent agenda whenever you're ready.
Vote on that?
Am I voting for?
No, you're present.
Present, yeah.
Yeah, we can vote on that if you want to.
Well, you just got the packet.
We can vote on it.
Well, it's up to you. I'll give you a choice.
I'll vote present.
Present.
Okay.
Consent agenda, whenever you're ready.
Does anyone wish to have any of the resolutions pulled?
Can we just poll number 8,
8.
which is 17-77?
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does desire to remove resolution for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 17-70 through 17-76. 1777 is for separate action.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Okay, resolution 17-77, when you're ready.
Authorizing award of a bid and the execution of a contract for the demolition of 1530 River Edge Drive to Caravella Contractors in the amount of $12,900.
Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Bay, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Giacomelli, discussion?
I just because it just had the bid opening, so we didn't know the bids at the time, at least when this agenda was. And now I'm just looking at the actual resolution. So it falls within our budget.
It's not a project, actually.
Okay.
This project is a DEP project under HR 1954. It's the last house of the DEP house they're taking under that FEMA project.
Okay.
What happened was that the bid was supposed to be taken the day of the snowstorm, and we had to do an addendum, so that's why it's kind of rushed today.
I see,
But
okay.
it's actually a contract between Caravella and DEP. We just facilitate the bid process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I have all in favor?
Aye.
Against? We have no resolutions for separate action. We have no introductions for ordinances, so we are up to my report. Okay. I'd like to start off with thanking the DPW. I think they did a good job in the snowstorm. It came down heavy and fast, but for the most part, I got good comments back from the residents about how they handled the snow. And I thank the residents for being patient and letting them get their job done. You know, it takes some time to clean the roads out. But for the most part, they did a good job, so I thank them for that. I had a meeting with, we had a budget meeting that I'm sure Councilman Bay will speak about a little bit, about our upcoming budget for the next year. Things are looking okay. I don't foresee any huge tax increases, but we're not 100% there yet. I will give you some good news in that the county did lower their tax rate to us by, was it $16 or $18?
I'm not sure yet.
We're not sure, but hopefully it will be lowered. So that's good news. I had a meeting with recreation and baseball. They're looking to change some field ways they use their fields. I also met with football about increasing their parking lot over at Carlo Field, and I spoke to Shade Tree with Mr. Hinton there about working together to see what we can do. We did have some houses come down over on Ringwood Avenue, and they back up to Hirschfield Park. So we're going to see if we can replant some trees in some other places and extend that just a little bit. We had we sent out our appeal letter for the flood. We had 30 days to appeal the flood maps. We are still feeling confident in our ability to fight the appeal. Our people that we hired still think there's a good shot that things can change around. At the end of the day, some residents are a little confused. They're worried that their insurances will go up if they get put into a floodway. What I've been told is your insurance rate doesn't really change floodway or floodplain. It's the fact that you won't be able to build on your property if you're put into a floodway. And you can build on your property, but you would have to go out and get a DEP permit first to make that happen. So we're going to have some talks with the DEP to see how we can work out the permit situation if need be, if the flood maps do change. We have reached out to our local congressman and senator federally, and they support our appeal process. So we're doing all the right things, and hopefully at the end of the day, the appeal does take over and the map goes back to where it does. It does affect, some homes in town, and we're hoping it doesn't change. And that's my report. Council President Riker.
Thank you. It's strange to be sitting here on the dark side. In all my years on council, I've always been over there. So I want to first welcome Councilman Ekbanin. We're thrilled to have you, and take good care of my seat. As the mayor said, we, those of us on finance, got together, the budget committee started the process. Mr. Boyle was there, our auditors were there, and the members of the finance committee were there, and Councilman Baig is the chair of that, and he'll fill you in on more. And as folks have been reading in the paper and talking online, redevelopment group met again on this past Thursday evening. We had one of the applications that we are working on, which is euphemistically been referred to as the Salvation Army project. The developer was there, and many of his experts were there to answer our questions. We seem to be fine-tuning that project. There was a give and take in terms of all sorts of questions by the commissioners, the redevelopment commissioners, and that seems to be moving along at a nice pace. We were remarking that when we first saw the project over a year ago, many, if not all, of the comments that the commissioners had made to the developer had been incorporated into the new plans that we were presented with, and there was generally positive feedback. So from a redevelopment perspective, that project seems to be moving along, and the others, I assume, will be coming in the near future. Mayor, that's my report.
Okay, just to follow up, I also attended that redevelopment agency meeting. This is going to be a busy group for the next couple of months. It's not that they just come to one meeting, get their approvals, and move on. It takes numerous meetings to get to where they start to work on the project. Having a couple projects in the works, this will be a busy time, and I welcome anybody who has a concern or a question about redevelopment. They can come to that meeting. There's an open session. You can ask questions in general about redevelopment, or you can ask a question about the project that might be up at that time. Also remember, and I have to always remind the public, right now, the two projects that are out there, the Salvation Army and the hardware store, are private projects. They have nothing to really do with the town. We do the permitting. It has to go through the redevelopment agency because it's a pilot program, but they're private projects. If and when the project on our side happens, that would be the first project that involves the town. So we have to keep that in mind. I know there's a lot of chatter about what's going on and what's not going on. At the end of the day, they're pilots. They're projects that are private, just happening to use us to get the pilot, which helps our town with the tax dollars and brings the money in. Councilman Giacometto.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to first congratulate Ed on the appointment and wish you well. Attended the Shade Tree Commission meeting recently, and total hours for last month alone with 38 hours, volunteer hours. And I don't know if everybody got a copy of the Shade Tree Community Forestry and Assistant Act, the annual accomplishment report. If you did, I'm just going to, some of the things I highlighted, I just wanted to present to the public, let them be aware. First, I wanted to mention all the commissioners, all the members. You have Ann Tassinelli, Randy Hinton, you got Pete Ortieri, Madeline Denti, Megan Bush, and Jennifer Polidori, and then myself as the liaison. So I just want to acknowledge all them and find the job that they are doing. Some of the highlights from 2016. They received a total of 20 CEUs, which are continuing education units. If I'm not mistaken, I think they need a total of 16 per year to continue with the Shade Tree USA. So we got 4 more than we needed, and that is the various programs, different continuing educations and everything that they do attend on their time and what they do. Some of the public education last year that was done by the Shade Tree were, of course, the borough calendar. If you look at the borough calendar, you'll see, all describes the commission, what they do, different right-of-ways, different things of contact information, so what, and other things. Also, last year we did an Arbor Day event, and what the event was, if you remember, they had 3 schools, all 5th grade students. So it was St. Mary's, Lincoln School, and Lennox School, and they all did essays on there. If you remember, we brought the kids up here, and they chose one student from each class, and they actually presented it to us, and they were presented with a $25 gift card. So that was some of the things they did last year. I don't know if you were here or somebody is, but we did do it. It was a wonderful event. They did an excellent job. Also, the commissioners, 2 of them, maintain a Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, please go to the Shade Tree, Pompton Lakes Shade Tree, and like the page. So I know they take pride in trying to upkeep that and put different things out there for the community. Also another outreach that they do. Real quick, I just wanted some of the plan implementations. 8 years in a row, we achieved a Tree City USA. placards out there. I know Randy's always good at putting the stickers on there. So 8 years with a 9th year recertification that we did. So hopefully we should be through. We'll get 9 years. It's a pretty good achievement. Last year, they arranged for plantings of 26 trees throughout the borough, right away. In the spring and the fall, removed 59 trees, pruned 60, and removed 14 stumps, just last year alone. The total cost, we had a lot of DPW in-house removal of trees, about approximately 75 hours. Came to almost $2,000 that we did as far as the tree removal, contract removal, $24,000 approximately. Pruning, almost $10,000 just for pruning of the trees, the borough right-of-way trees only. We had about 6,800 in tree planting that we did. Training, 3,200 in training that we had to do to keep our CEUs and to keep everybody up to date. A lot of it was the Emerald Ash Board that's coming, preparing for that. So a lot of time and effort is put into this. There's, of course, the dues, and they had the volunteer hours. I know I did mention it. We tried to come up with a price. There were 792 hours total by all the board members. So if you come up with an average price of $26.70, it comes to almost $21,000 just in volunteer service hours and dollar figures. So I think they deserve the credit for that, along with all our boards and everything they do, all a fine job. But I just wanted to highlight that because I am also the liaison for them. But that's pretty much a snapshot of everything they did last year. So if you got a chance, look at it, but that's pretty much the highlights of it. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
You don't want to mention, well, we should bring up the honor that we did for Thatchers, I guess.
Oh, that's true, yeah. We did have an honor. We honored the owners of the Thatcher McGee's, the 3 owners, and the mayor did an excellent job. I know a lot of you couldn't make it, but we honored them for all the service that they do for the borough, for all our youth organizations, for our PLYO, our Little League, and I know they donated stuff for the police department, and even when I was on, they donated different flashlights and stuff like that for our guys, and it was an honor to honor them. It was Passaic County Emerald Society, so we honored all 3 of them, and it was a good honor. They were very appreciative, and it was a good event we went to.
Good.
So the mayor did a good job. Thank you.
All right, so go back to the Shade Tree Commission, just like all our other committees, they do a great job, and one of the ways you can tell that is when we have the storms, we don't see a lot of trees coming down, so that's a big deal right there. Speaking of Thatchers, they're a great neighbor here in town. They had, probably 200 people there celebrating them, but like I said in my speech when I was there, we're lucky enough to have Thatchers in our town. They support all our local groups. They do come and help anytime we need them. We give them a call. They're there to help us. So that's why we went out and honored them. They're a good neighbor and they're a good business in town. Moving ahead, Councilman Day.
I'd just like to congratulate Ed on his appointment, and we look forward to your input at this time. As the mayor alluded, we did have a preliminary hearing on the budget, and we should be well within the cap of 2%, probably somewhere in the midsection of 1.5%, thereabouts. The capital budget's still being worked on, and we'll bring this to the council, present it to the public when the budget is completed. I attended the Pompton Lakes Chamber of Commerce meeting February 15th, 2017. The Chamber received the thank you notes from both St. Mary's Church and the Pompton Reformed Church for the support of the food banks. There was a discussion regarding a purchase of a portable stage for the summer concert series. The Chamber agreed to support this effort. Steve Edgler gave a presentation on the Friends of the Library. It's a foundation forum to support the programs and finances at the Einstein Public Library. The Chamber will be looking for ways to support this foundation. I also attended the Pompton Lakes Community Partnership, the bid meeting on February 16th, 2017. There was a discussion on redevelopment and what the bid could do to assist the businesses that need to be relocated. It was agreed that the bid would offer $10,000 grants to assist businesses in relocating. The bid and chamber have agreed to sponsor the outdoor summer concert series again this summer, as I had mentioned before. There was a discussion regarding the purchase of a portable stage for the concert. The bid agreed to pay for half of that, $3,200 for the stage. The stage will be available also for events of the boroughs, including Pompton Day. Robert Walker reported on the activities of the bid marketing committee. He reported that the sale of the bid books were sold out on February 11th. He also stated that the bid will be continuing to use Facebook for promoting the business interests, and they're looking for other digital media for promotions. Some of the events the bid will be assisting in promoting the business district this year are May scavenger hunt involving the businesses, a planned events at the library involving the decorating of small clay pots, a spring window decorating by Artistic, a series of 6 summer concerts. They are looking for sponsors for the concert. Sponsors are looking for like a $700 donation. An October Scarecrow contest and pumpkin painting contest, and a Christmas window painting by volunteers and guided by Artistic again. Chamber also, along with the Chamber, they'll also be sponsoring the 21st Holiday Stroll and Parade in December. And that's my report.
Okay, I also attended that bid meeting. I think you just reported something a little different. I think the way they were talking, and I don't know if they voted it in, it was $5,000 looking at a grant to any business that's being moved because of redevelopment, but $10,000 if it was involving a restaurant. I think that's how they were speaking about it.
And I believe
Or something.
there were other businesses they'd have to look at because there are other businesses that.
Right, I don't think it's a
require
finalized
additional-
project yet, so,
So it's not quite final.
but I give them a lot of credit for stepping up and doing and looking into that.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback, I apologize, I assume everybody knows who the owners of Thatcher's are. My apologies. The owners are Brendan Madden, Aiden Downing, and Chris Tennant. They're the 3 owners that own Thatcher's. It did start in Pompton Lakes, and after several years, they opened a second store in Denver, and the third one now opened up in Fairfield. So again, I apologize, they're the 3 names, the owners. I just wanted to make everybody aware. Thank you.
So going back to the bid, I think they're still talking about it. I don't know who was voted. I don't remember who was voted.
I don't know that it's final, but I know they will be looking at what the costs are for the moves on business.
And the one thing that he was talking about, the summer concert, which we did 4 last year, and they were a big hit. We do them on the library, on the lawn, on a Thursday night. It's free to all our residents. They get bands in that cover all different genres of music. It was such a success, they're going to move up to 6 concerts next year, and we purchased a stage with the help of the bid to highlight that a little bit. I've been to a couple of them. They're a fun night. Bring the kids, you just put lawn chairs out, sit down and listen to music. So it's a great event that they run there.
Mayor, can I just clarify something? It's not limited to our residents. So one of the key aspects was that we were encouraging our residents to bring their friends from other communities, and hopefully it will sort of introduce perhaps those who don't know Pompton Lakes to our restaurants and other things. So
Very true.
So I just want them to think it's just us.
Okay, Councilman Branco.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to start by welcoming and congratulating Eck Venden. Knowing Eck, I know how passionate he is about public service, and how hard he's worked so far, and I'm sure that we'll be able to count on that up here, and we will. I have a very short report. I had no zoning board or MUA meetings since our last council meeting, so nothing to report on any activities with them because I haven't had any. I have a couple of comments. First, the response from our DPW to our last snowstorm, I thought was very well executed. I know that Director Stelter and Duffy and the guys had a good plan for that snowstorm, and I think they did a great job. I hope that everyone else feels the same way. I did personally field a complaint about our recycling center. There was a resident who felt that, who arrived at about 3:20 on the weekend, and we're supposed to be open till 3:30, and found the gate locked and not necessarily very well attended to with respect to dropping off his recycling. Spoke to Director Stelzer about that, and we will address it and make it better. I, for one, use the recycling center very frequently, and I have found from time to time that maybe we could have a little bit more response from those that work there. And I know it's hard to be there all day, every day, and have to deal with that, and at the end of the day, you want to get home. But when residents arrive 10 minutes before closing time and they can't get in, it's not good. So I addressed that with Director Stelzer, and that won't happen any further. And that's my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep my report short as well. On the 14th, the Stormwater Management Committee met, mostly just discussing some of the spring planning for events and things like that. The dates are a little bit in flux, but what the committee is looking to do is hold a couple of workshops. One, potentially a kids' environmental workshop, to just teach kids about water conservation and stormwater management, things like that. So again, that's sort of looking at late April. We originally toyed with the idea of April 22nd, but we're still reaching out to some of our partners at Rutgers, the co-op, to see what their availability is for that. So it might be a different day than Earth Day. We're also, the committee is also looking at doing a rain garden workshop in terms of designing and implementing a rain garden. Steve Florman and Lauren Vennon, who are part of the committee, went to a Rutgers workshop last year. And one of the things, doing a rain garden obviously costs money, requires effort, things like that. But what they've discovered is possibly the number one impediment for people to do rain gardens is that they don't feel comfortable doing it right. They don't know how to design it, they don't know what plants to use, things like that. So this is going to provide the opportunity for our residents that might have interest in doing their own rain garden to give them that sort of technical expertise. So that's something that they're looking at in early May. Again, the tentative date is May 13th, but that is a little bit still in flux. Regarding I went to the Budget Committee as well as part of a member of the budget. I don't need to rehash what everybody's said. And then on the 16th, went to, I guess, a meeting, met with our consultant, Nick Agnoli, who was the primary consultant responsible for the FEMA map appeal. Got to the meeting late, but he was fortunate. He was grateful enough to rehash everything. I guess it was a quick meeting. But, I do appreciate all the work that the Flood Advisory Board has put in, getting the information, mobilizing residents, getting the word out, and then our consultants, the ability to turn around what a pretty tight deadline is, to review a lot of technical information that came back from FEMA, put together a pretty comprehensive letter back, and get it back to them on the 16th. So, and then to make themselves available to answer any questions to us. To that degree, we had the Flood Advisory Board what they did was about last year, they put on some online maps about where the proposed floodway was compared to the existing floodway. That was on as sort of an open source online mapping program. That program we moved, but I did want to let residents know that we do have that online mapping again through what we're currently using for the interactive map. So if you go to our website, pomptonlakesgov.com, and go to online GIS maps, they can go in there. There's a couple what they call layers. You click the box and those things turn on, and you can see where the current floodway limits are and what the proposed floodway limits are, and you can actually enter in your address to check to see if where you live is actually located in either floodway, especially the proposed floodway. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
You know, I did go play with it a little bit. It's pretty good, little site there that you can, actually, there's a couple different layers you can put in there to see different things. So if you're a little concerned about where you fall on that line, you should take a look at it. It's on our website. It's pretty simple to use, and, it'll actually show you actually where your physical house sits compared to the proposed and where the floodway is right now. Okay, I'm gonna let our new councilman, if you'd like to say anything, Mr. Lennon, say anything.
Something real quick. I'd like to thank the mayor and council, and also my family for their support. I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve our community in this capacity. I look forward to working with you and as well as with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck to you, and I think you'll do fine.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just had I had a couple of residents asking me, who's my recycling? Is it you, Eric? Or is it gonna be, Eck? Is it anybody right now?
Recycling coordinator.
Yes.
It's actually Director Stelzer.
Well, no, not coordinator.
Liaison.
Liaison.
Oh, that would be me.
Okay, so when Mr. Kent stepped down, we were getting close to having one garbage pickup a week and going to 2 recycling pickups a week. The residents have been pretty responsive to following the rules of recycling, and a lot of residents are now saying, look, we're doing what you asked, and I have more recycling than I do garbage. And so that was the idea, to think about switching the other way. So I'd like to continue that conversation moving forward. I mean, I'm saying it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but you could even speak to Mr. Kent. He'd be sure to, we're happy to talk to you about it, but we can kind of pick up where he left off and see where we're going with that. Okay?
Can I just, I know, I have contact with folks in other neighborhoods, and we happen to be talking about recycling and what they do. One of our nearby communities has in fact increased their recycling pickups, but what they noted is they do vary the schedule in that they increase garbage pickup in the summer. So it is a somewhat flexible schedule. I can get more of the details if you need it, but I'm just throwing it out there that, you know, we can be relatively creative with this.
Something to look at. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Professional reports.
I have no...
Mr. Administrator.
I had a light report, and most of the council took my light report.
Nice.
Just to reiterate about the budget, as I met with the committee a week or so ago, the budget process starts in mid to late fall, and it kind of works its way through the winter and into this time of year. Our budget does look fairly well. Right now, I think we'll have a very, decent tax rate. And only a few years ago, we were over $100 in the house, and we're now definitely not in that range. The one thing that continues to impact us is the loss of rateable base. Last year, we lost another $800,000 in ratables, which means that our projected rate is going into the next year. If that rateable base had not been lost, we've been talking maybe no increase or very little increase. So we put together a good budget, but still a tax rate increase because we keep on losing taxpayers, basically, that kind of thing.
But that number is shrinking a bit from year to year, right?
It's shrinking, and hopefully with the redevelopment and with the pilots, it will start turning everything around.
Right.
And that's the key. On the whole, the budget does look fairly well.
So just to...
The other thing I have to report tonight is that based upon the approval of bills list tonight, $1,000 check to DEP will be cut to send down for the environmental review of the Morris Canal Greenway. The committee met with the engineering firm mid to late January, did a final walk, went over some of the concerns about some of the design. That plan is done. Now with that check ready to go, the whole project is down to DEP review. Once the DEP reviews and approves it, which is always subject to waiting a prayer, but hopefully in the next 90 days, we might be able to see this thing out to bid shortly thereafter. So we're at the precipice of seeing this thing actually take off very shortly.
That'd be great. Just to comment on what you had brought up, just for the public, if some people don't understand what we're talking about, when we lose ratables, it's because we didn't take down houses. The DEP and FEMA came up with a program that bought out houses that
Tax appeals too, American tax.
Well, and tax appeals, which is a separate issue, but I'm talking about the houses right now that came down, and it was about 56, I think it was?
a decent number,
Yeah.
all total between us and the FO, between us and DEP.
So, and again, that doesn't come out of taxpayer dollars to buy the houses, but when the houses do come down, they no longer pay taxes on those properties anymore. And that, for a small town, when you take that many houses down, it does affect our tax base. So, you know, yes, we took these houses out of the flood zone, and maybe we make some of the money back because we're not putting services back down to those houses, but the numbers do not equal out. So we did take a pretty big hit when those houses went out. And then, of course, tax appeals play into that also. So that's what we're talking about right now. Just to remind everybody that we will be going through the tax appeal process, the tax reval this year still, right? We're still looking at this year?
As you saw today, HUM sent the revised, hopefully final set down for the stamp, so it should be response from taxation very quickly. I hope.
And again, just to remind everybody, we don't pick when that happens, the county picks when that happens. We are probably one of the last towns in the county to go through the process. So when they tell us we have to do it, we have to do it. It's not like we decided to say, hey, let's do it today because we want to do it. We've been lucky that it hasn't, well, lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, we haven't had one in a while. Anybody have questions for the administrator? Okay. Have a motion to open the meeting for public comments. So moved. Councilman Giaconetti, Council President Riker. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to speak? Please step up. You go first, go ahead.
Congratulations.
Name and address.
Yes, and my name is Gergie Tockefer, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. I'm so glad that somebody from Pompton Reformed Church is now a councilman here. It's going to make matters a little easier, I think, for our church. And by the way, she's open Sunday. The church is open on Sunday. If anybody wants to see the new sanctuary, the new tuned organs and everything else, I've been told that they will be open on Sunday. And we praise God for that. And again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I still have Mr. Hinton, I think you had him.
Yeah, Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. You got to my question before I can ask it. Timeline on reevaluation. But like I say, it's not under our control, it's under the county's control. Just another observation, for the 56 houses that were torn down and the loss of property tax revenue to the town, observation I was made aware of, the MUA also took a hit.
Yes, they did.
Water and sewer, they lost all those houses too, so they're operating at their present budget with loss of 56 residents paying to them also. So
That is true.
they're giving us the same excellent services they've been at a reduced income coming in for them, so just an observation. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Bennett and wish him a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public comments?
So moved.
Councilman Begg? Second. Councilman Giaconetti? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor. Anyone have privilege of the floor? Seeing no one? Can I have a motion to adjourn? We should give that to our new councilman.
So moved.
Second. Councilman Brennan, who seconded? Councilman Branco. Thank you all for coming. See, you got that in.
I wanted to get the mayor. I usually